And welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's very terms only, the investment on top of today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, just want to say happy Monday, everybody. Very great weekend, by the way. Respect to Ethereum, is a record of 9:34 a.m. on the Eastern Time. Currently, like $3,139, up about 6.38% so far. With respect to some of the media outputs I've been collecting this morning, we have a mixed bag of various different positive news and some foreshadow news as well. So one is coming out from CNBC about 15 minutes ago, talk about Coinbase. With the earnings call that's expected to happen this week, it could potentially jump 16% after earnings. Which, it sounds logical, but we have to take a look at the technical analysis to understand a little bit further. But based on the macro dynamics, knowing the fact that crypto assets has been, relatively, exposed in the recent time frame, a lot of public investors are becoming more and more familiarized with crypto assets as a whole, and Coinbase as being, one of the prominent player as digital exchange platform specifically for crypto, obviously, can allow the company to capture that market growth. So the earnings can subsequently translate into a positive surge coming. So that's one news. Another news came out from Bazinga talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum related stocks. Why is it surging or why is it moving today? Obviously for the right reason, right? Because of the whole overall crypto market is surging. It seems like it's struggling around the resistance level that we've identified so far, right? With respect to Ethereum, specifically around like the 2,950 and the 3,150, right? Again, these are the frames of reference that investors are struggling to be investing in to sustain above the $3,000 level, right? Another news came up from Fortune 2 hours ago talking about Fortune's first NFT cover is a live digital experiment. And obviously, with the NFT covers, obviously using the value proposition of Ethereum. So it's another regurgitation news talking about more NFT adoptions. And then another news on Fox Business talking about with respect to the weekend sell-off, right? We saw the, more of a normalization yesterday on Sunday as investors across the world decide to, take some profit, knowing the fact that we've been running relatively hot for the last 15 days so far. And I believe at one point we went down all the way to about like $2,894, and then subsequent rebound from there as obviously we are seeing some surge today. So another news that came out would be from Bazinga talking about just the cool down across the market that endured yesterday. For obvious reasons, people are taking profits because of impatience or we've been running relatively hot, right? So we never got to be above that 3,225 and then next level $3,885 level, a substantive level that we have formed historically as a resistance level. That's why we kind of, hover back down, right? When we have a high propensity to, to leap back down if we never get to the next level of resistance, right? And then another one coming from Decrypt, it's about like 12 hours ago, talk about Axie Infinity become Ethereum first NFT games to hit $1 billion in sales. So I'm not a gamer, but feel free to correct me. So it seems like with more NFT adoptions on both the artistic world, but also the gaming world, it seems to get more and more consumer familiarity, which is another stamp of approval across the world for the long-term value proposition for Ethereum going forward, right? And then some of the news are relatively old news, just regurgitations on the London fork, some articles around the regulatory battle with respect to infrastructure bill that's expected to, be passed, but it's obviously going to take some time. So that drove some negative pressure yesterday as well. So overall, the news are kind of a mixed bag with some regurgitation news, some positive news, but some reinforcement news on the regulatory dynamics. So I'm going to go to a technical analysis to see what are the trends looking like right now? What are the momentums going forward? Are we sustaining the 3,150? Should we be leaping up going forward? Or are we going to see more of a sell-off coming? So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, on because of 9:40 a.m. on Eastern time, currently $3,142, up about 6.50% so far. you can see that currently we are experiencing some sort of like a ping pong effect, right? We're basically bouncing between the walls of resistance that we've identified so far, right? So you can see that at one point, I believe on the 7th, which is on Saturday, we reached all the way to close to about $3,200 or 193, to be more specific. But we never got to be above that because that was a flat number that people, decide to liquidate, knowing the fact they've been running relatively hot for the last 15 days so far. And then with the negative news on the regulatory constraints, and also obviously with the just knowing the fact that people have been, incurring such a large surge already, it just kind of gave people the reason to logically take some profit, right? And from there, we see across the board a lot of public investors and even some institutional investors took some profit, right, to hit us all the way back down to the $2,894, right? In respect to the reversal, some public investors are probably thinking that the $3,000 is a resistance level, we should be probably buying in, knowing the fact that's a hard level. They do not believe that we will crack 3,000, but despite we did, immediately got bought up. So there's a lot of appetite around the $3,000 level. So that's a good thing, knowing the fact that we are forming a new substantive platform, right? That we have been building historically, but obviously we need to build more building blocks, put more cement around the buildings as we further escalate above the 3,150, right? So this is a good sign on a long-term perspective, but knowing the fact that RSI and MACD are running really, really hot, you could see that we've been leaping up the whole time. The rocket is basically, halfway through the, to the moon right now. I would say we are like maybe 30% there, that if we keep going, we might run out of oxygen and blow up the engine if we keep running that fast. We need to cool down and let it cruise a little bit, on top of the fact that RSI is highly overbought right now. With that reversal, the ping pong effects that we talked about, right? Bouncing between the walls of basically, like the 2,950 to the 3,150, right? Bouncing between the walls from there, struggling to basically debate among investors, should we stay above 3,000, should we not stay above 3,000? And I think there's a reason why we're not like having a huge sell off at the moment, is because the whales are expecting a little bit more media affectation coming. Put yourself in the whale shoes. If I bought in around like the 2,750 or the 2,600, I would maybe want to squeeze out the lemon a little bit more, right? And wait for a higher surge, that euphoric feel, right? Like currently we're at the late stage of thrill, per our discussions, 2 videos ago. We are, going into the euphoric zone soon, knowing the fact that with respect to the launching pad that we have discussed prior, right? You can see that launching pad that we start in the recent time frame was 1750, but the previous launching pad was somewhere around like 2,150 per our discussions, right? So the launching pad is lower, so technically we are basically 85 to, yeah, I would say 85% there in terms of like the full trajectory before the sell off. So I do, foresee possibly another surge coming to maybe test the 3,225, and then maybe even 3,385, and then cross down from there, and then we should have a relatively sharp sell off from there. I think whales are just basically anticipating for that moment, waiting for that right moment, right? So the risk is definitely increasing based on the chart, what it's telling us right now. So I definitely want to be cautious. But if you are one of those people that are, they're willing to take the risk for a long-term perspective, buying it right now, I'm not gonna stop you from doing what you want to do. But for me, I'm just gonna stay off and hold off until we hit back down to 2,750, which I will first begin to dollar cost average, and ideally 2,450, and ideally in the best world situation 2,150 again. And I will start building up to aim for that 100 Ethereum position that I aspire to get someday. I currently have 55 right now, so it's gonna take me a while, but I need to get the discount before I can further incur the cost, right? So hopefully this is helpful. Just to recap on numbers and technical analysis, with respect to Ethereum, right? Knowing the fact that we are struggling above the $3,000 level, we basically having this ping pong effect, bouncing up and down, right? I think the likelihood after the sell off that we will incur, imminently, would be somewhere around like the 2,750 for you to start to incur risk, right? And ideally for me 2450, and in the best world situation 2150, which are the level of resistance that we identify historically, right? So those are levels I would watch out. But if you want to buy now, that's up to your decisions, up to your risk appetites, right? But ultimately, long-term 12 months price target 9,800, 20% corporate adoption, 3.6 times your money from here. So further, respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticker ETH. Hopefully this is helpful. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday and the rest of the week as well. I'm going to be around, so feel free to shoot me a message if you have any specific questions. Happy to always address them. So stay tuned for news to come up. Take care. Bye.